Welcome into the PFF NFL Podcast. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson. Here we are, Thursday afternoon, with no games to preview this week. So we're just going to talk all NFL and whatever the news is, whatever the fun stuff is, including Eli Manning reportedly retiring tomorrow on Friday.
Yes.
Could be today if you're listening on Friday.
Coming from our studio, but we will not be next week.
Right. So
Where are we
let's
going next week?
Well, today, let's just talk about today real quick.
Okay.
Eli Manning retirement.
Uh-huh.
Talk some QB carousel.
All right.
And a little Super Bowl preview. Like, we'll touch on it just a little bit. Hit on some of the bigger topics because we're not going to be here next week.
No.
Where are we going to be?
Miami.
Going to Miami.
South Beach.
So, programming notes. Next week, regular pod on Monday. We'll do it from here. We'll do, again, some Super Bowl talk, whatever the big news is. Maybe grade Eli's retirement press conference, see how good it was.
We won't be doing that.
It was probably average. Probably right in the middle, most likely. Probably didn't win, probably didn't lose. Probably 500 is what it was. Unless it's a big moment. It could be a big moment. Maybe he stepped his game up in the press conference.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that Monday. And then wheels up Monday night. We're flying down to Miami. And it's a big crew. George and Eric are coming, the PFF forecast guys. Bruce Gradkowski's going to be there, filming Bro What a Throw. It's going to be an action-packed week.
Is he going to be throwing? Are you going to be catching passes from Bruce?
We don't know yet.
On South Beach?
We don't know.
See, here's the thing.
We have a skeleton schedule of about 30% of what we're going to do next week, and the rest of it's just like, we don't know. It's up in the air.
Grab some people. Well, I tell you, though, there is a very real danger that while we are down there, Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins will be there, and we'll actually have to play basketball against them.
Yes.
Now, one of us has been, doing his best to up his game in the gym most days in the week.
Yeah.
And the one of us is not you.
I've been ill.
Huh.
I tried yesterday, and I couldn't move by the third game.
Your effort levels yesterday were questionable at best, and then you compounded that by not even going today.
I know, because we got things going on.
Here's the thing, right? I picked up a basketball like a matter of weeks ago for the first time. I can't be the one to carry you in this encounter.
Don't you worry. If I hit every shot,
yeah,
we're going to be okay.
Okay.
No matter how much practice time I put in between now and then, isn't going to determine whether or not I hit every shot. It's just going to be a lot of luck.
I don't think that's true. I think that you can move the percentage on that.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
I don't think you will.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway, we might end up meeting up with them there, having to play basketball at South Beach and get our ass kicked.
We'll have some morning content, YouTube channel, social media. We got an Airbnb. You'll get this all-access pass to PFF at the Airbnb.
Don't say Airbnb. That makes it sound like we're just,
Oh. We have a house.
Right.
A mansion.
On South Beach.
Mansion on South Beach.
Yeah. PFF.
That we've
mansion on
bought.
South Beach. Don't say no. Look, you're making a balls of this.
Well, listen, we told Chris, just buy it. The Super Bowl will be back in Miami soon enough. We'll get our money's worth.
Okay.
So we bought a mansion on South Beach for the company, and we'll be recording live from there.
Anyway, Eli Manning retired.
All right, let's talk Eli Manning. He retired, and, nobody can have a normal debate. It really is this black and white. You either think he's a Hall of Famer or you don't. I don't want to spend more. You got 5 minutes on this topic. Not just you, because I don't want you to go off on it for 5 minutes, because I don't care. But everybody has to debate the Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame discussion. Yes. Yay or nay for you,
Well, that
Sam?
happens. Any player retires, it's like, does he belong in the Hall of Fame or not, right? So let's start off by saying Eli had a really great career he should be proud of. Guy who's won 2 Super Bowl rings. He beat, the unbeatable Patriots that year. Mm-hmm. He beat the Patriots again. He is responsible for 2 incredible Super Bowl moments. The pass down the sideline to Manningham is one of the best passes in Super Bowl history. The helmet catch, obviously, is one of the best plays in Super Bowl history, or one of the most memorable plays in Super Bowl history. So he ended, what is a fairly small Super Bowl drought by NFL standards. The Chiefs just got back for the first time in 50 years, for example. There were bigger droughts out there than the Giants were dealing with.
He helped bring 2 championships to the Giants.
He ended their drought.
Along with the defense.
Won a couple of championships. And he ends his career, the start streak, 15 years of play. he had a really nice career, right? Absolutely belongs in the New York Giants Ring of Fame or whatever it is they do.
And the Giants should be very happy with the draft day trade that they made to get Eli Manning. They got 2 championships out of it and a whole lot of availability.
Yeah. So he absolutely belongs in the Giants Ring of Honor or whatever it is, whatever their equivalent is.
Ring of the very good.
The debate as to whether he then belongs in the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I think is more complicated. And I don't even know, so I don't necessarily, I'm not even sure that I have an answer on this, like a take. I don't know if I want him in or not. What I've been arguing with people about for the last 24 hours at this point is let's just at least accept what the debate is, right? So the debate for Eli Manning is essentially 2 incredible Super Bowl runs where he was instrumental in winning those games. Now, he wasn't alone. The defense showed up and had huge game plans, etc. But his 2011 run in particular was absolutely incredible. He knocked off some big teams on the way, both seasons, and he was a huge part of those wins, whether it's the helmet catch, the Manningham pass, all those kinds of things. So the question is, are 2 incredible postseason runs that made the Giants get 2 Super Bowl rings, which he was a huge part of in a way that is not true for some other quarterbacks who got their run and made a ring. They basically were like Trent Dilfer, right? Nice as he is, everybody accepts that Trent Dilfer was a passenger on that team. If Trent Dilfer did that twice, he would just be twice the passenger.
It's not all the same, though. I mean, Dilfer legitimately completed 36 passes in 4 games.
Right. But the point is, so that's
9
what I'm saying,
per game.
Right? He was legitimately a passenger on those teams. Eli Manning was not on his Super Bowl runs, right? So though it is the fact that he did that twice enough to put him in the Hall of Fame, because outside of those seasons, he was basically an average quarterback for 12 years. What's really interesting is the timing of those Super Bowls completely changed everything about his career, because actually his start was kind of rough. And if he doesn't go on that run,
there are questions about him and his future in New York. Right?
If he does not go on that run at the beginning, the first one, and win the Super Bowl, I think he's going to have some competition the next year for that starting job, and everything changes at that point, right? And then the second time, once you win the second one, that buys him the back 5 years of his career where he was below average. Like, he had 5 years to basically play kind of bad, and nobody questioned it because he'd won them 2 Super Bowl championships and his credentials are known.
And the reality of Eli's career is 2011, that start to finish was a fantastic season. He was great. He was great under pressure. He was excellent on the Super Bowl run. He was a catalyst more than a passenger, for sure, there. Mm-hmm. In 2007, he was okay during the regular season, if at best. Early in the playoffs, just okay. And then he played well in the Super Bowl game itself. Even though they scored 21 points or whatever it was, he played okay. 2011, he was fantastic. Yes. 2012, he was really good.
By far his best season, 2011.
Yeah, and he did a really nice job running that offense and all that stuff. So,
the one argument...
I've heard people compare him to, like, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's got, a Super Bowl and made it a few other times, and it's like, no, but Kurt Warner's 3 best seasons are better than anything Eli ever put. As good as Eli was in 2011... Kurt Warner might have 4 seasons better than that.
There's some really interesting comps, right? Kurt Warner is a fascinating one because his career, like his overall body of work, is much smaller than most other quarterbacks that are in there, right? And he's got the 2 Super Bowl appearances, so there's parallels, right? But
3 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win.
Sorry, 3 appearances, 1 win. But he, as you say, his peak was way better than anything Eli did, and he did it for longer. Plus, the fact that he took multiple different teams to the Super Bowl, I think, is noteworthy.
But that part in the middle is that when people were making arguments against Kurt Warner, I understood those too, because the part in the middle, he goes there to start ahead of Eli in 2004, and he could barely even field a snap, and he had a thumb injury, whatever. But he was kind of bad in the middle.
Right. What's the argument that I have no time for is, well, Eli is 7th in passing, all-time passing yards, 7th in touchdowns. Well, of course he is. He played 15 years in the most pass-happy era the league has ever seen. Anybody who did that would have those numbers. Now, if you roll the time back a little bit, when Vinny Testaverde retired, he was 6th in all-time passing yards, 7th in touchdowns, 7th in completions. So it's just a product of playing a long time at any kind of level. Now, I'm not saying that that is. I'm not saying you ding him for that. I'm just saying that it's not a positive, right? You multiply average 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. It's just average. It doesn't get any better the more times you multiply it. I have no time for the idea that he compiled himself all the way up to the 7th list in these all-time rankings. Therefore, it's a Hall of Fame resume. His argument is
if you're putting
2 iconic Super Bowl runs. The end.
Yeah, if you want to put him in the Hall of Fame, that's the resume.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's
and you just
wrong.
have to be, but you just have to be honest about that.
Yes.
That's the resume, and there's an actual legitimate discussion to
Correct.
be had. You and Gordon use the phrase, "Well, you can't tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning," and you can't tell the story of the NFL without Chris Nowinski either.
I've never. A lot of people use that phraseology as like the argument. Now, by the way, the Hall of Fame doesn't, and they're the ones that actually decide this thing. Nowhere is that like a criteria for getting in, but it's one that people like to use to talk about it. What I heard somebody say is that Eli would be more a section in the chapter that discusses Brady and
absolutely,
and the dynasty, right?
Right.
As opposed to his own individual chapter, Yeah,
I mean Brady and Belichick have lost like 11 playoff games together, 5 of which have come to the Manning brothers.
Right.
I mean that's the section, right? I mean that's
well, yeah. I mean, I think Peyton Manning is more deserving of his own section than Eli.
obviously, but I'm just saying like there's a whole story to be around just Eli. There's one about the Manning brothers.
But you can make the
that
argument,
whole rivalry.
Yeah, you could make the argument that Eli doesn't necessarily belong in his own section of the history of the game. He belongs as not a footnote, but a part of somebody else's section. But I think there's a genuine case to be made that those 2 runs. Look, honest, the purpose of this game at the end of the day is to win Super Bowls, and he was instrumental in winning 2 of them in a way other people have not been.
Completely agree.
I think there's a genuine case to be made that alone puts him in the Hall of Fame. But I think people just need to accept that all this like compiling of base numbers does not help his case. And when you look at
because Matthew Stafford is going to be
right. I mean, Matt Ryan will pass him in like a year and a half, and is it next year? He's like Matt Ryan is pretty close behind, and he's got 4 fewer seasons in the NFL. But if you look at like rate numbers or any number that actually requires good play to rack up, he's nowhere near the top 10 all time.
No, he's not.
Like he's way off. So that is not your argument in getting him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's a couple years away from passing him.
The other thing that's interesting to me is I know that I differ from a lot of people on this, that I just don't believe that durability is something that should get you recognition beyond just, no, that's quite impressive. The guy's lasted a long time.
Oh, durability playing at a high level.
Right. But durability that just lasts you at the level you're in for longer than other people, for a start, I don't think you control that. There's a lot of players out there that have replied to me that were like, you absolutely control that. It's hard work, it's effort. But that's just confirmation bias. It's like, look, all these great players worked really hard. Therefore, if you work really hard, you'll last longer. What about all the great players that worked really hard, broke a hip, and never survived?
There's luck involved, but
you
there's
think
also...
Bo Jackson wasn't working his ass off?
No, see, I think that there's something to...
I think it's a requisite thing.
You've never played professionally. Come on, man.
I think you need that work ethic to survive a long time, but I don't think having that work ethic is going to give you the longevity.
Yeah, you definitely need some luck with it too.
Right.
Yeah, but playing at a high level for a long time is worth it. Just compiling mediocre stats like Frank Gore and Eli Manning over a long period of time is not impressive.
A lot of people
impressive.
Look at his start streak. Like, okay, but how many? Well, how many of those starts at the back end did he actually deserve to be starting? Like if he was just another quarterback on another team, how far before the end would he have been benched? Because the answer is probably quite a while. And then the other thing is, like if he's just playing average level for the back end or even below average level for those back years, is the fact that he isn't broken down actually good? I would argue no.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
He absolutely will be in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know that he doesn't deserve to be in. I wouldn't put him in, but then I wouldn't put in a couple of other people that are already there. So
I think that just you brought up Matt Ryan. I think he's going to be a fascinating debate. If he never gets back to a Super Bowl, he's going to be a guy that finishes his career in the top 5 in passing yards of all time in a dome. And really, a ton of touchdown passes, a ton of
Stafford as well will be another one.
Yeah, Matt Ryan has a ton of seasons where he was way better than Eli Manning. Like throughout the majority of Matt Ryan's career, he's been better than Eli Manning, right? Outside of 2 seasons. Phillip Rivers, who was drafted the same year as Eli Manning, has been better than Eli Manning for all but a couple seasons of his career.
Rivers will be the really interesting one because
Right.
I think he's clearly been certainly the better of those 2 quarterbacks. I think you can make the case he's been the best of the 3.
But I already see
from
people
that year.
debating if you're putting Eli in because, well, they beat the
Right.
dynasty. Well, Phillip Rivers had a couple opportunities to do that. And Matt Ryan had the biggest opportunity to do that failed. It's 28-3, and there's a fumble and this and that. Whether it's his fault or not, you could easily compare those things, and then they just look like the regular season stat compilers.
Rivers is like the reverse case. He's like, look, he doesn't have any big moments, right? Because they never,
Not at all.
They were almost never able to put a team around him, and when they did, he wasn't able to get it done.
And Ryan's had some exceptional playoff games, too.
Yeah. But so Rivers in particular is like the exact opposite case to Eli, because he actually has some phenomenal, consistent, high-level play, but was never had any of the big moments.
The other funny one is Big Ben. In his first year, his first Super Bowl was one of the worst.
Passenger.
I mean, it was one of the worst quarterback performances you'll ever see in a Super Bowl win against Seattle. He had the game winner against Antonio Holmes. He was a really good quarterback by 2008, but he kind of like got them out of the way before he became a really good passing quarterback that put up big numbers in this league after he had the 2 Super Bowls.
That's Antonio Holmes' pass is right up there with the Manningham one in terms of one of the best passes ever.
Yeah,
in Super Bowl
incredible and timely and just awesome. So Big Ben almost like locked himself into the Hall of Fame as long as he just survived the next 10 years and put up numbers, which he did. So
he also transitioned from legitimate passenger at the start of his career to the reason that offense was so effective the back end of his career. Like he became one of those high level everything funnels through this guy quarterbacks.
This is one of those things. I've used Brady, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson as 3 guys who early in their career won on teams that were strong with defense and all that stuff, and we're seeing, Wilson played well, but he was still seen as a guy like, he only has to throw the ball 25 times a game. Brady was seen as a guy that he's got the defense, he's got the run game and the screen game, and Roethlisberger, he wasn't even good the first 2 years. He did make big throws. He was just like clutch at the right time type of thing. Those were guys that were seen as game manager types earlier in their career, where then you realize that they could carry a team. And that was the thing where when we always say, like, well, don't look at QB wins, I think there are these examples of players who it's like there's something in there, right? And even if they are game managery at the time, if you unleash them, they could be really good. And those are the 3 examples that always come to mind.
The other thing about the stats that people have to understand, and most people do, but it's worth repeating, that you cannot look at just career numbers and not adjust in some way for era. Like, Manning and Elway have more or less the same passing yards, right, at this point? Those are not the same 57,000 passing yards. You know what I mean?
That part's obnoxious.
Right. But, we just have to put that out there, right? Eli Manning and John Elway have vaguely the same amount of passing yards. They are not in any way, shape, or form the same passing yards. Just think of the rule changes and re-emphasis that have gone on between the 2. It is so much easier to pass the ball now than it was in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. Like, people are ragging on Namath. Like,
all-time passer rating.
You know what you could do to corner or to receivers back in the 60s?
Listen to some of the names on the all-time passer rating leaders. Dak Prescott's 5th.
Everybody now.
Kirk Cousins is 7th.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers 10. Matt Ryan 11. Big Ben 12. Carson Wentz is 14th. Jared Goff is 16th. Derek Carr is 17th. Skip Chad Pennington. Ryan Tannehill is 19th on the all-time passer rating list, and Marcus Mariota is 20th.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's why the Titans made it so far. They have 2 top 20 all-time passer rating guys, and Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota on the same team. How do you stop that?
The all-time passer rating list is basically all of the current NFL quarterbacks and, like, Steve Young.
Andy Dalton, 28th. Alex Smith, 30th. Jameis Winston is number 31 all-time in passer rating. He's better than Otto Graham.
Huh. Yeah.
He's also, who else is he better than? Rich Gannon, Jim Kelly, Mark Brunell. Eli Manning will finish his career with an 84.1 passer rating.
Which is actually terrible now.
Yeah. which is 0.1 better than Mark Brunell.
Like the league average now is like 95, isn't it?
90? No, it's like 90.
It's over 90.
89, 90.
Either way, his career is below average in passer rating, which is not ideal in the easiest era to ever pass the ball.
Blake Bortles is 69th.
Huh. Anyway, so that was our 5 minutes.
So I would not put Eli Manning. If I had a vote, I don't think I would give it to him.
I
would
honestly
understand all the arguments. I don't think I would give it to him. I think ultimately you would lean yes, even though you're fighting everybody and trying to say no. You're at least trying to make like the argument the right one.
I'm the guy in the room whose vote is up for grabs. You know, there's somebody in there whose job it is to pitch Eli Manning.
Yeah.
So there'll be a bunch of people out there arguing against him and for him, right? I'm the guy. I'm the swing vote in the Hall of Fame room.
I'd be 75% no with, an open mind for 25%.
You could just about be brought around if somebody came out and knocked the argument out of the
with
park.
a really good one.
Right.
Yeah. I just...
The argument I think that would sway me the most is...
Like, he's Frank Gore. Frank Gore doesn't even have the Super Bowls. Everybody, those are just accumulating
Gore's
stats.
going to get in as well because the dude just passed Barry Sanders through compiling his way through an NFL career.
By the way, it's easier to get rushing yards these days, too. It's just easier to get more offense.
Offense, all the rules have favored offense for like the last 30 years.
Yeah. So it's
like
easier
every
to do
change
everything.
they've made has favored the offense for decades. So, of course, the numbers are all up.
Mahomes are going to crush it all.
Yeah.
What else was I going to discuss here? There was one other thing I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But luckily, we got Proper Cloth to talk about.
Excellent.
That's what we're rocking. Our Proper Cloth shirts. We're going to be in Miami with our We're going to be wearing Proper Cloth, I assume.
I think we have to, right?
Well, for the pod, at least.
Yeah.
But I'll be rocking it probably all week. You guys are going to be wearing your, tank tops and all that stuff. I'll be rocking the good stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm assuming. Well, George will be wearing tank tops. I'll be rocking one Proper Cloth shirt per day down in Miami. ProperCloth.com/PFF is where you can get your own custom-made shirt, $20 off your first order using the promo code PFF20. Custom-made everything, Sam.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually insane what you can get drawn up on the Proper Cloth website. The thing works in your phone, which is handy, so you can just design yourself a shirt. Click into your saved custom sizing, bam, order it. And the idea that, $20 off your first shirt using the promo code PFF. The idea that you can get a completely custom made, custom fit, custom designed shirt for essentially $60 because they start at $80, $20 off with your promo code PFF. Getting one of those for $60 is an absurd steal.
Yeah, it's really good. So check it out. The best fabric producers in the world. Each one of their shirts goes through extensive quality control testing, so you're getting the absolute best quality and craftsmanship. Stop wearing shirts that don't fit. Get the ones that are custom fit. Start looking your best with a Proper Cloth shirt today. ProperCloth.com/PFF. Promo code is PFF20 for $20 off your first shirt. The thing I was going to say that I just lost my train of thought again. Mm-hmm. Oh, so the Eli Manning accomplishments that you've been seeing, that was like when people throw the Cam Newton accomplishments at us, and it's like most passing yards in his first game, and most passing yards in a rookie season, and most touchdowns on a Thursday night game starting before 6 p.m. I mean, it's like these are very specific, and they're not necessarily increasing the case for this player. Long-term ones where it's like he was the best in the NFL during this 10-year time period at something important, those matter. Eli literally has none of those. And if you compare him to his peers, he's barely top 10 to 15 in anything long-term. Literally everything he brings to the table is 2 games, 2 playoff runs plus some longevity.
Right. I think, the Hall of Fame credentials that I have the most time for is simply, was there a stretch during this guy's career where you thought he was one of the very best players in the NFL, and how long did that last? And the answer to that with Eli Manning would be no, and if there was, it lasted for like a year.
And again, the inverse of that, when you say Kurt Warner, I'm also of the mind, like, I don't want a guy that was just good for like 4 years, but Kurt Warner had a 3-year stretch and then another 2 to 3 year stretch where he was among the best. and went to 3 Super Bowls in those like 6 years where he was a good start. Like all that, it did with 2 different teams, and like I talked myself into Warner makes sense, right?
I think my favorite argument was that he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and I don't know if you know this or not, Steve, but that's the NFL's most prestigious award. Not the MVP. Remember all their advertising bump. This is their most prestigious award, and he won it.
So he wasn't just one of the 32 nominees.
No,
was
he
the
won
one.
it. So he belongs in the Hall of Fame. The other thing that
Who else
cracks
has
me
won
up,
it?
I don't know.
Other Hall of Famers.
The other thing that cracks me up is it's the Hall of Fame, Steve, not the Hall of Great Play. It's like, all right, but look, it's just not what it is, right? We don't elect the most famous players in the game every year. We elect the best. If you can't accept that that's what that means,
Then Lamar's already in.
then we probably can't talk. Well,
Look,
Lamar, you know who else is in? Colin Kaepernick is in the Hall of Fame
Colin
if we're just going
Kaepernick's
for
famous.
fame. But that's not really what it's about. It's about best play.
Well, I'm anti-Cam Newton in the Hall of Fame too. So
Oh wow, you we're already pissing off Giants fans here, and you just
if you want to put
two
guys
straight into the Panthers fans.
2 guys who aren't even in the top 10 among quarterbacks in their era in the Hall of Fame, then you go ahead and do that. It's not the Hall of Very Good, Sam.
It's not. It's the Hall
It's
of
not.
Fame.
It
so
is.
I just most famous players.
It's
all
not
I'm
the
interested
Hall
in.
of Very Good Play.
Most famous. That's all I'm looking for.
All right, let's check out. Well, let's just high level discuss the Super Bowl a little bit. 49ers and the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. We'll have the full preview. We're going to have a ton of preview content next week. We'll be on Radio Row. We'll be at the Mansion on South Beach. Let's just start referring to it as the Mansion.
Yeah, as opposed to the Airbnb.
Can we just cut that out? I never said Airbnb. I never said that. It is the PFF Mansion. All right, let me make sure the guys know. From now on, I'm just going to tell them in our chat.
Yeah.
We will refer to this as the PFF Mansion, coming straight from the Mansion. And actually, we might need to get some imagery around that as well. So the PFF Mansion will have plenty of previews and everything. Give me one high-level thing that you're looking for in this game, Chiefs and 49ers. Is this too on the spot for you?
No.
What are you thinking?
The Chiefs, so as much as the run game doesn't matter, blah, 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 the 49ers were able to blow the Packers off the field in the championship game by just running the ball down their throat. Green Bay couldn't stop it. They got absolutely annihilated, and that was the game. The Chiefs, if you look statistically, don't have a very good run defense at all. But they have shown when they run up against opponents who want to do that as their primary focus on offense, they will have a game plan crafted to stop them. They will sell out against the run and force you to do something else. So we saw that when they played the Vikings. They've done that to good rushing offenses. So I'm interested to see, A, what their game plan ends up being to try and stop this 49ers run attack. B, will it be successful? Will they actually be able to stop them? And then C, if and when they do that, do the 49ers have an answer off the back of that through the air as an aerial threat with Jimmy Garoppolo passing the ball? Can they pass the ball better than they have to counter that?
No, so it's a good thing to think about because last week at this time we were saying, look, if the Chiefs really want to stop Derrick Henry, you can do it. You could stack the box. Now, at the same time, the Packers at some point in that game decided that they did probably want to stop the 49ers. They may have gone into the game saying, slow play it. We're not going to load the box or anything like that. But at some point they did load the box, and they still couldn't stop the Niners. And I think that's the tricky part. I do think you could scheme it up and say, that's it. We're loading up. We're going to stop the run. But the Niners, because of what we've talked about here, where Shanahan's evolved a scheme, power, counter, gap schemes, all that stuff. I'm looking to do a little breakdown on that in the next week or so, which I think everybody will like. They've evolved the scheme. So it's not just zone left, zone right. It's the jet sweep game. It's power, it's counter. It's different wrinkles that Shanahan has added that legitimately have changed the game here. And they're good at both.
Yeah.
Top 5 in EPA running the ball in gap schemes and in zone schemes. And for a Shanahan outside zone scheme, that's rare. That's a new wrinkle that the league just hasn't caught up to yet. So
my general
that'll
sort
be
of high level look at this game is you can make an argument for the Ravens, certainly. I think you can make an argument for the Saints, even though they weirdly got beaten by the Vikings. But I think these are the two correct teams, if you like, in the Super Bowl. I think these are the two sort of best teams in the NFL right now going against each other. So I think basically I'm happy that the two championship games ended up that way, and we got to see this matchup in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because if you look at the Chiefs' season, remember he put up, Mahomes threw for like 210 yards in the first 20 minutes of the season. And I remember joking, like, he's going to throw for 6,000 this year. And then he hurts his ankle, and this is against Jacksonville week 1. He hurts his ankle. He's hobbling through a few weeks. He has the knee injury, so you see a little Matt Moore. And then Mahomes is still he has the Patriots game where he really wasn't good, but he was battling. He hurt his hand in that game. It was probably one of the worst games of his career, and they still beat New England. I mean, we just didn't see, like, full Kansas City offense
until the
playoffs. And now we have that. And, you know, that's the other high-level takeaway or thing I'm looking for. Mahomes, since probably the snow game against Denver, he was sharp in that game, and he's just been sharp these last few weeks. An incredible playoff run, the highest-graded one we've seen so far at PFF through the 2 games. But we've had other, like Peyton Manning 2013, when he was with the Broncos, he has that incredible season. He had 2 really good playoff games, and then he ran into the Seattle buzzsaw in the Super Bowl, which you were the only one who predicted Seattle to win that game, and that was one where the defense beat the offense, right? The defense won, torched one of the best offenses of all time, right? Where Peyton Manning had a chance to, you know, finish off an incredible season and an incredible playoff run. Mahomes has a chance to top off this, one of the best playoff runs of all time, if he has a huge game against the Niners. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. And the Niners, who have just played lockdown defense for much of the season, if they do at least slow them down a little bit.
The other thing that's going to be really interesting to watch is how the 49ers coverage holds up against these Chiefs weapons that are just so fast. Like, the speed that Kansas City has on offense is absurd. You know, Richard Sherman has been incredible this year. He's winning our best coverage defender award for the season. His coverage numbers are insane. The guy virtually never gets beat deep. Now, I know he did against Devontae Adams in the championship game that sparked this whole Revis Sherman argument. But, like, the reason that play was so notable is it doesn't happen. Like, the guy almost never gets beat over the top like that. Right. He's been targeted, I think, it's the only time it happened this year. I think he's been targeted like 15 times on deep passes this year. That's the only catch he's given up.
Yeah, he's always had that great feel for, like, I don't want to say he's baiting quarterbacks, but he knows he doesn't always have to run hip to hip, and he can catch up when he needs to, and he uses his length, and he uses his body position. He just got a good feel for not getting beat down the field.
You know, there are certain types of receivers that he struggles against, and, you know, Tyreek Hill is almost like a supercharged version of one of those. You know, a guy who, A, has the quickness to get around his length and his physicality at the line. B, if he does get clear of him, is gone. Like, there's no way Sherman's catching that up.
We've seen Tyreek torch everybody.
Right. And C, can scare Sherman to the point of focusing so much on the deep stuff that he'll just give up 15-yard comebacks all day.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, A, do they change anything up to cover Tyreek? And B, if not, like, does it go bad? I guess that could go bad in a hurry.
I mean, if you're Kansas City, for the most part, you know where Sherman is.
Yeah.
You know he's going to line up at left corner. Do you try to dictate, like Sammy Watkins against Richard Sherman? I'll take Sherman all day. Like, I don't think Watkins is going to get the better of him more than once or twice, right? But, like, could you dictate the matchup with Tyreek?
Yeah.
Try to sneak a couple by him, a couple stop and goes, and then just take all the underneath stuff when Sherm's worried about over the top.
Most of the time, knowing where Sherman is, the idea is, well, I can get my best receiver, take him away from there, and play him somewhere else, right? The Chiefs might be unique in terms of, I actually like the matchup of our receiver against your guy, and we're just going to play that all day because you can't live with that speed.
That would be fascinating if it was like, let's go after him.
Right. Let's attack Sherman with Tyreek Hill.
We'll have plenty more on the game. We have plenty of time to preview it. We'll be there in Miami next week. And we want to hear from you guys. We've got some very special, we'll have some like podcast guests. We'll have some social media, YouTube guests and all that stuff. But is there any big names you guys would love for us to interview, talk to, you know, get some stuff out of down there?
Okay.
Should be fun. So let's hear from the folks, our listeners, what they might want. And how about I asked the other day for some requests. What do you guys want us to podcast about as we get into the off season? One person did ask who has better hair, you or Mahomes. And let me just say, I'm going to have a haircut before we get down to Miami, and I think once we're back on track, it's me.
I mean, your haircuts are a risky proposition.
No, I got Liz now, though. We're good.
Yeah?
Yeah, Liz. She knows what she's doing.
I mean, I'm still
Curl
not sure.
specialist here.
Your hair, even post-styling, I mean,
What?
it's just, look, it's an interesting style you've chosen to adopt as your,
It's great hair.
your thing.
Anybody who knows hair knows it's great hair.
I don't think that's true.
It is true. People know it's great hair.
I don't know that it is.
That's what I have.
The
other questions, Sam, I don't need your other takes.
Soul Glow went out of style back with Coming to America.
Everything's cyclical.
Huh. You presumably don't leave the stain on the couch, but because you're above neck height, right? The way they left it
there's
on
no stain
Coming to America.
Yeah, there's no stain.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about that. Get it all covered.
It's the useful part of being 9 foot tall.
It is. Anyway, we had some questions about the QB carousel and the craziness in the offseason. And we'll have full pods on this whole thing, where we think guys are going. But let's just hit on...
How many do you think are actually leaving? Let's try that first.
Let's definitely start with that. I think the more I think about it, I just don't see Brady and Breeze leaving.
I think Brady's leaving.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see them leaving.
I don't think Breeze is leaving. I don't think the Cowboys let Dak go.
I don't think the Cowboys let Dak go.
I don't
either.
think the Bucs let Jameis go. I think the Saints do let Teddy go because at some point they can't keep both of them, right? The Titans can't let Tannehill go, which means Mariota will be going. So Mariota, Brady, who else quarterback-wise? Teddy. Who else is available?
Eli. Well, Andy Dalton will most certainly be available.
He'll be available the second they draft Joe Burrow.
Right. Rivers.
Rivers. I mean, obviously he's going, right? That seems pretty...
I think Rivers is gone.
Yeah. So that's it?
I don't see Brady I don't think he ends up leaving New England.
Oh, I think he's gone.
Why?
I think...
This is new. You weren't thinking this the whole time.
No, I think he's out of there.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because Brady strikes me as the kind of guy who desperately wants to prove that he can come back and stick it to his old team somewhere else. Like, I just want to show you that it's me, not them. This whole dynasty thing, how much is Belichick, how much is Brady, how much is New England, it's me. And I could prove it by my last year going somewhere else, dragging some sorry-ass franchise to 11 wins, beating the Patriots along the way, and then bouncing off into the sunshine.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely what he's doing.
You think Breeze has that same kind of ego?
No. I think Breeze just wants another ring.
So you think Brady's an egomaniac?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. Really do.
Based on what?
Everything.
We're going to try it. One of the guys we're trying to get is Tom Curran. He's a New England Patriots insider, and he is as tied in. He's been there since the beginning of the Brady era. He's very tied in, and I think he's got a good feel for kind of like reading the tea leaves, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try to get him next week.
There's too many things
Get his
aligning
insight.
for me in terms of why would it happen this way if he was going to stay like every other time, right? Like, why would they design the contract so that it has to make him a free agent in addition to, I mean, the house stuff is whatever. Like, rich people build and move houses all the time. It's not the same. It's not the same as it works with you and me where, upping sticks and buying a whole new house is a fairly big deal, consequential in your life. Those guys chop and change all the time.
I won't say it.
Plus, everything's starting to fall apart there, right? They no longer have this clockwork dynasty monster machine that's going to take them back to the Super Bowl without thinking about it. Suddenly, Brady needs help that he doesn't necessarily have. I just think too many things right now are aligning to this idea of, let's take a swing somewhere else. And for the Patriots, it's, all right, this guy's clearly not capable anymore of being the only reason we win. So do we even want him back at this point?
So, like, who's the next guy in New England?
Well, that's their problem, is that they don't have, like, a clear alternative. But there are quarterbacks available. Like, you bring in a Teddy versus Brady.
I could see Belichick, who is, for as great as he's been as a coach, has the same flaw, I think, that everyone else has, which is you play well against him, you've you've opened his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes that works. Like, they went and got Wes Welker because they're like, man, we can't cover this guy.
Yeah.
2006, he's with the Dolphins. They couldn't cover Wes Welker. He wasn't the most productive receiver, but they were like, we see a role for him in our offense, we'll take him. Other times that's failed in the past, and it's failed around the NFL for a while, where you have the guy that has like literally one good game and it's against you.
Well, whether it succeeds or fails, I think it's just bad process.
It's bad process overall, but like I kind of get, it's like in-person scouting, right? You saw 1/16 of this guy's performance, and you just weighed the one over the other 15. Marcus Mariota had a very good game when the Titans beat the Patriots in 2018. They lost in 2017 in the playoffs, but he made a couple throws down the street, whatever. I could see Belichick looking at Marcus Mariota, remembering a good game that he had against them, and maybe going that route. Out of all of them. Now, because look, if you're the Patriots, right, you're drafted in the back half of the first round. There's probably 3 first-round quarterbacks that are kind of locked in. They're probably top 10. Unless the Patriots, the alternative plan is to get with Belichick's buddy Nick Saban and say, look, we're going to put some serious medical red flags on Tua right now. We are going to cry Bo Jackson times 100. I mean, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to put some stuff out there that Tua's career is over.
But they're all getting, like, the NFL,
do whatever you can to get him to fall out of the first round, and the Patriots snag him in the 20s.
But everybody has their own medical stuff. They're not just listening to the media red flags.
I know. Just sounds good in theory.
Yeah. Everybody says his hip's good. Well, you have the MRI that says it.
So the Patriots don't have a Garoppolo. They don't have a guy waiting in the wings. Jarrett Stidham's not the guy. They're not gonna be like, sorry, Tom. I mean, Brady could be 52 and better than Stidham still, like the Hackenberg thing, right? That we used to discuss.
Yeah.
So they need some sort of bridge or transition, or let's try Mariota for a year. There's people trying to say, oh, it'll be Andy Dalton. Like, Andy Dalton hasn't, I don't see him. The thing about Dalton that's interesting is you could see him throw the ball and think, oh, I like this guy. He's accurate. He's accurate up to 20 yards. Like, he fits a lot of things, but he's always just been lacking in the playmaking ability and all that stuff. So
Dalton would be interesting. Teddy would be interesting, and that's basically it.
Who would be?
Dalton and Teddy.
Not Mariota?
I don't think so.
So, like, Mariota hasn't been that bad during his career. He's had some decent seasons. He's been a middle, like a fifth, like quarterback 15 to like 22, 23 during his stretch career. Dalton's in that same area. Teddy's not much higher than that. Teddy's definitely not higher than that right now.
No, Teddy's not higher than that, but he's 26. So, like, Teddy's the one guy.
Mariota's still young, too.
Teddy's the one guy from the sort of bunch who you could legitimately see potentially being a long-term answer to the position.
But I could see them going but I also wonder if they look at Mariota's athleticism and say, okay, there's a lot of people thinking, well, Belichick's going to not get a pocket passer next time around. He's going to use the run game. He's going to use the running ability, and, can he tap into that? I could see them looking at Mariota if there's an alternative to Brady, while they draft like a Jordan Love or something like that late first round or whatever it is. Right?
He's really tight with Chip as well, right? Belichick? Like, not Saban tight, but the two of them are kind of buddies, right?
Yeah, there's some
and obviously
connection there.
Chip, Mariota. He was supposedly in love with him, even though he
We're
didn't
connecting all the dots here. PFF investor, Chip Kelly. PFF fan, Bill Belichick. What?
Are we allowed to say that?
Oh, yeah, it's public.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been in articles.
Oh, all right.
If it's not public, cut it out. But it's been public.
All right.
Right?
I don't know.
It's definitely been in articles, which maybe have been erased. I don't know.
Redacted?
Do the
PFF investor
flashy
black
thingy,
stripe.
Flashy thingy from the Will Smith movie in the 90s.
Men in Black?
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Flashy thing.
Flashy thing, yeah.
Flashy ears. Phillip Rivers, where's he going before we wrap it up? Somewhere in Florida, because that's where he moved to the caravan.
Right. What? I mean,
you know what we need? You want some really good content?
Oh, God.
Did they already move?
I don't know. It's not like they put out an alert.
The Rivers family moving cross country.
Yeah, but again, they're rich, right? It's not like they do it themselves. Like, they didn't pack everything to a truck and start driving all 27 of them across the country.
He's kind of old school. I could see him doing it.
No way. they employed a bunch of people so they didn't have to lift a finger. A
Hey.
whole army of guys swarmed in his house,
No.
put everything he owns in a bubble wrap, lobbed it in the back of a truck, and drove it cross country, and they all flew first class.
I like to think that they have 2 minivans and an old school station wagon. There is one of their nannies driving each of 3 nannies, one in each vehicle. Kids everywhere.
The nannies come with them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Nannies going with them.
They're just like moving.
Well, they're
across
rich.
the country.
This is where the rich thing comes in. They don't just get like the local nanny.
Right.
They're like flying them in from Germany and stuff. Like they're getting the
Au
best
pairs?
of the best. Yeah, Au Pairs Plus, right?
Ah, okay.
Au Pairs R Us. That's where you get those. So they're all driving 2 minivans and a station wagon cross country,
Right.
Griswold style. Because
Okay.
that's what that's Rivers as a dad. He's like a Clark Griswold type. Probably wants to hit a couple, they stop at the Grand Canyon. They hit up some Six Flags, and it's like a 2-week excursion.
Like Rick.
Like Rick. Rick Drummond, who now like half runs this place in
Yeah.
one of the most power moves we've ever seen at PFF. Took about 45 days to drive to Cincinnati.
Right. Back
from
at a time where
California.
nobody basically got any days off ever.
No days off.
He
Ever.
moved himself from California to Cincy, and it took him like the entire summer. So consequently, he avoided training on all the new PFF systems, and had to therefore take up like an executive role upstairs.
Hasn't done data. He's like, can't do it. I don't know how to do player participation. I don't know how to
Genius.
collect data in this thing. I'm sorry. I was driving. I was cross country.
Genius.
Sorry, I'm at the Grand Canyon. Sorry, I'm under the arch. Sorry. Just can't do it. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
So, QB Carousel, it's going to be crazy. We'll have full shows on the whole thing. Next week, we're in Miami. Check it out. And here's the deal. PFF.com right now. That promo code is PFF30 because we're going to give you 30% off all annual subscriptions. The PFF Draft Guide, we said it on Monday, is the best we've ever put out. It is incredible. Our guys have done some great work on the Draft Guide and down at the Senior Bowl, so go check it out. And that's just a piece of what you get when you sign up for Edge or Elite. 30% off your annual subscription. Use PFF30 over at PFF.com right now. And then just stick with us all next week because we just, there's just all sorts of surprises. We just don't even know what's going to happen. I've been told not to call it the mansion.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't
George
call it
said
the
don't call it the
Airbnb
mansion.
either.
We'll be staying at somewhere in between an Airbnb and a mansion next week
Okay.
in Miami.
Fair enough.
So be sure to check it out. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back on Monday, regular podcast time, and then we're off to Miami. See you guys.
Bye-bye.